Hey there, this is Bruce Lee Money from Thermal and a Quarter, and welcome to another episode of Song Stories, where we talk about why we wrote the songs that we did. Today we'll talk about the song Grab Me from the bonus disc on Three Wheels, Nine Lives. We've always introduced Grab Me as a working man's blues because it was written about 10 years ago when we took a leap away from our secure corporate careers into doing music full-time. Well, 10 years later, we're still afloat, but there's a sneaking suspicion that it's something like that coyote in the Roadrunner cartoon. So we're hanging in midair because we just haven't looked down yet. Yo! This leap, by the way, it wasn't the first time we'd taken it. Back in 2002, when the aforementioned careers were but fledglings, full of beans and anti-corporate bullshit, we decided to flash the finger to our jobs, confident that the music we were making back then would take us places and pay the bills and sustain us and our families. Boy, we were so wrong. Some of the confidence that we could make it was also, of course, coming from something we were trying back then. The bass player at that point, Rudy, and I had decided to open a music shop in the city, having, of course, absolutely zero experience with setting up and running any kind of retail operation. But it was the USP was that it would be the only music shop in the city that was run and operated by musicians. So it was supposed to succeed on just that premise. Anyway, so we had this music shop, and thanks to the kindness of a family friend, we had this quite a nice space on MG Road in Bangalore. Now, space in MG Road doesn't come cheap. So it was a good address to have as a band and as any kind of retail operation. We were in a building called Barton Center, still a landmark in the city. And we were on the 6th floor in room 606. So the hard rock and metal people out there, you can make your own connections with that numerological alignment. Even more confidence, of course, was coming because just a year before that, in 2001, we'd opened for Deep Purple when they played here in Bangalore. And we'd shaken the hands of Steve Moss and Ian Pace, and they had said nice things about our music. So what more impetus can you ask for? So anyway, we had this shop. It was, needless to say, it wasn't a very successful business. Mainly because it very, very soon devolved into a kind of adda where all the local musicians would kind of hang out, trade licks, trade stories, just come jam, you know. The other problem was that I guess the USP of musicians running a shop backfired pretty badly because every time some very good gear walked through the door, good gear that we were supposed to be selling, it kind of walked the other way because the back half of the shop was our jam room, the band's jam room. And so every time some good gear walked in the front door, it would walk out the back door and into our space. It would become ours. Of course, we had to pay for it and so on, which we'd figure out later. But you can see how our lack of retail experience and our incessant gear acquisition syndrome sort of threw a spanner in any kind of retail dreams that we might have had. So there we were in the back jam room of A to G Music with no jobs, lots of new gear, and plenty of time to use it. And despite the fact that our bank accounts were not being refilled every month, I'll always remember that period as being very special because we had so much time to write, to jam, to come up with new things and really come to grips with the sound that we were trying to create. It is, of course, from those sessions that the second album, Jupiter Cafe, emerged, which many critics still consider our best work. And to be fair, a lot of those songs still feature on our current set list, so there's definitely something there. But gigs, not so much. Shop sales, we sold some guitars and odds and ends, but more plectrums than anything. And very soon the reckless courage that we displayed at the beginning of the year to ditch our jobs was being replaced by a gnawing fear that this wasn't working out. We somehow managed to get the album Jupiter Cafe released. It was available in CD format in all the shops on Brigade Street. But we very soon, very soon after that, crawled back into work and regular jobs. And you know what? It wasn't such a bad thing. So the next 8 years were spent with regular jobs, sustaining us, our families, and the band. And while people might say, oh, so it was a failure, you followed your heart and you couldn't make it work. To us, when we look back on it now, the fact that the independence that we got from our regular jobs gave the band and the music complete creative freedom was a very precious thing. We never had to play a gig that we didn't want to. We never had to become involved with any form of music that we didn't hold close to ourselves or feel strongly about. We could, buy good equipment. We could set up and rent a jam room for ourselves. We could fund creation of a website, of the next few albums that we recorded. Of course, we took loans and all of that stuff, but you get where this is going. It was really important that the band and the music back then were kept free of any imperatives to support us, and that's how we think they really grew. They really became the sound that we identified with now. That's really what created Bangalore rock, if you will. The other thing about having a job, having a career, that's not music. And this is something we talk about again in the film that we made after we came back from the Edinburgh Fringe, WFW DFD. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. Which talks about the fact that if you want to be involved in any artistic pursuit, music, dance, whatever, there's so much work that you need to do that's really not connected to your art at all in some ways. It's really important to keep doing that, and it's really important that you have a really good work ethic, and it's the only way, really. So coming back to the song, Grab Me was written in 2010 when we took our second big leap away from our secure jobs and careers into the world of music. But this time we had a wealth of experience, a lot more education, and I guess a much deeper understanding of the work required to make this step a success. We of course had to write a song to celebrate the transition, if you will, and if you look through the lyrics of the song, which are of course in the box below, you will see some of the things in our minds back then. The whole song is like a fervent plea that this new life we were aspiring to would grab us from the old one and take us to new places and so on. There's plenty of obtuse references as usual, including to the song Wouldn't It Be Loverly from My Fair Lady, which of course is a very fine working woman's song. So there you have it, the song Grab Me from 3 Wheels 9 Lives. If you haven't seen the video or heard the song yet, there's a link in the box below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider doing that. There'll be a new video out every week. And as always, thanks for watching.